Good evening, Pack 142. This is Mr. Keenan, the Cubmaster, and we are here doing a quick Cubmaster skill session with all of you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to talk about our nation's flag. So if you're home, stand on up. If you have your Cub Scout uniform on, do your Scout sign. If you don't have it, then just put your hand over your heart, and we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Face the flag. Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Why don't you all join us in the Scout oath, Scout sign. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. 2. All right, thank you. Well, you can have a seat. So if you want to look at the flag we have up here, you're probably all at home, and a lot of you might have your American flag outside your house. You definitely it's outside the school, the town hall, the fire station. And for those of you that are in the younger parts of Cub Scouts, even for your older guys, I want to go over the parts of the American flag and make sure you remember what we have here, because this is required for your ranks. So the 3 colors of the American flag are, William?
The 3 colors are red, white, and blue.
Okay, so red, white, and blue. And then the red stands for, you remember? You remember? Okay, it's fine. The red stands for the blood of soldiers and those that shed their blood for the defense of our country. The white stands for freedom and peace, which is what the overall goal of our country always is. And the blue stands for loyalty. And the blue is a very important color. Come on over here. Now you see, the American flag, the blue section, you notice is square up there. Okay? And that's, depending upon what country you are, but that's sometimes referred to as the jack on the flag, or we call it the field of the Union. And it's blue. Now remember I said that blue stands for loyalty? So now what's on the blue field?
Blue stars.
The blue stars? What color are the stars?
White.
White. This is very important. Because if you see on that blue field, the white stars are on that flag. What do the stars stand for?
They stand for 50 countries.
Country?
States.
Very good, the 50 states. Okay? Which is funny because a state is technically a country. A lot of you guys don't realize, but we live in the state of Connecticut. The state of Connecticut is an independent state. It has its own governor, has its own legislators who make the laws for us. We vote for them, has its own police force. Connecticut even has its own army, the National Guard. They all answer to the man or woman who's in charge of the state, and that is the governor. Much like how the president is in charge of the country. Now, there are 50 states. Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. There's no specific star. But they all are together on the same field. They're together on the same field. Much like when you play a sport, like football or baseball, your team is on the same field. And you're all there together to work as one team. If you look at our flag, those 13 stripes stand for the first 13 colonies. But on that field of loyal states to each other are independent states, much like how we're independent, but we all are together. This is important because I want you to realize that even though you're not in school, and we're not at scout meetings, and we're not going to our houses of worship, and we're staying at home, we are individuals as families, but we're still Americans. So our flag outside our house, this flag here that we pledge allegiance to, this all teaches us and reminds us that although we're independent within our home, we are still Americans and together. And right now, as we are all separate because of this disease that's out there, realize that there's Americans all over the world that even before coronavirus were on their own. Right now, there's American scientists down in Antarctica, nowhere near this country. There's Americans in the middle of lighthouses off the coast of different sea coasts, and they're by themselves manning these light stations. There's Americans on ships. Right now, Americans underwater on submarines. There's even Americans in outer space. They might be separated by space and location and distance, but we're still all together. We're Americans as one team. One skill I want to go over with you all is how to fold the American flag. So William, can you give me a hand? I want you to take the blue section here. We're going to open this up. Now, for those of you that saw the recording of our April PAC meeting, I displayed this flag. This is an original 48 star flag from World War II. It was actually given to me by by a Korean War veteran, a Vietnam War veteran. His father served in World War II, and this flag was brought to the Philippines and was flown over Manila when the American Army liberated it from the Japanese forces. So it was given to me for safekeeping. It means a lot to me.
Can I
And
fold it?
do you know how to fold it? You do? Then we're going to change spots. Look at that for a, don't drop it, for a change of storyline. Okay, so you start out by holding the flag flat. Ideally, you should have a third person in the middle because in case you accidentally drop the flag, you don't want to touch the floor. Although it's just a piece of cloth, it means a lot for people. For me, for you, for others, people died for this flag. People not only on a battlefield died for this flag, people in protest, people who got up every morning to go to work just so this country can survive and flourish. This flag symbolizes all that. So you're not just respecting a piece of cloth as some people claim, you're respecting what the country means. So we're going to hold the flag open like this, and the first thing we do is we're going to fold it. Now here's the important part. You're going to grab it in the middle here, you're going to turn it over so the stripes are up, and you're going to fold it again. And then you're going to hold it like this. You're going to get the wrinkles out of it, and you're going to start folding it in a triangle. Okay. And then when you fold in a triangle, you always fold it on the largest flat end of that triangle. So you're folding it in upon itself. Very good. And this is where having that third person in the middle would help out, because this way he'd be able to fold it nice and crisp. When you see soldiers or members of the service folding these flags, you'll see they do it nice and crisp because they have someone to give them a hand. And they pull it really tight. Okay, that's good. All right, keep folding. Very good. And then you fold it. And ideally, the fly end of this will fold into there. Thank you. Now, I was taught, and again, different departments, different agencies, different scout organizations might have their own traditions. When I worked for the National Park Service, we were told to carry the flag like this. This is how we carried the flag and how we presented it. Okay? So the reason why I do that is so when you're walking, you don't drop it. So I would like to see your scouts, don't carry it under your arm. That's disrespectful. Don't just kind of walk around with it. You need to hold it close to your body. This way it's held nice and tight. And this way if you won't drop it, or the wind won't blow it, or someone knock it out of your hands. And you kind of also protect it too. And I'll teach you one other thing. The flag is folded into a triangle. Does anybody know why it's folded into a triangle? Why we do that? Cameraman, you know why?
The tricone hats the Revolutionary Soldiers wore.
That's correct. This flag is folded like this to remind us of the three-cornered hats that were worn by the soldiers during the American Revolution. So I'm now going to make a little jump. We'll come back to this flag in a second. But we're going to talk about conservation. So as you pause that and just join me in the backyard. All right, so to tie into the whole thing about being a good American is also taking care of the outdoors. Theodore Roosevelt, who was the first honorary president of the Boy Scouts of America, he's also the president of the United States, Rough Rider, outdoorsman. You kids probably all know him from the character portrayed him in Night at the Museum, it's Theodore Roosevelt, with the hat like this. I have a look, kind of look like him. Anyway, Theodore Roosevelt was an avid outdoorsman and really supported the Boy Scouts because he believed that we are the future of America and that we take care of not only the nation and its people and its youth, but also its natural resources. Last Cub meeting, the one we did online, we did a brief craft to do a bird feeder. So out of a soda bottle, for those of you who didn't see it, I just put a pencil through the soda bottle. I cut some holes in here, and I have a little acorn on top of the hole. That was a design flaw I didn't add in originally, and the birds can go in there and feed out of that. This is reusing some garbage, basically, to make a bird feeder, and we hung it from the tree there. If you want to get fancy, you can also make a bird feeder. Buy a bird feeder, and we had that one suspended up there because the squirrels like it too, so sometimes you have a squirrel feeder also. But by having birds in the backyard is really important because it brings wildlife into the yard and it helps out. Cleaning your backyard is important. So cutting the grass while you're home and you're not in school, give your parents an assistance by cutting the grass. William went back here, and if you see back by that rock pile, cleared a lot of that brush back there. He did some of the work with the loppers. I used the axe, and we cleared all that brush out of there, so it lets the sun get in, and the sun will help the plants that grow down there. And there's a stream on the other side, and the sunlight will also help the wildlife in the stream, the frogs, the fish, and such, and keep it clean. So we gave the backyard a little spring cleanup, and that's something that all you scouts can do at home. All right, pause that. All right, so I'm sure a lot of you at home have spring flowers coming up, and we're going to end our meeting talking about this. Spring flowers, of course, mean that the spring is coming, but there's a lot to this story. You see, spring, the winter is over, and spring, things come to life. Animals are being born, grass is coming up, the flowers are coming up, and it's a chance for nature to come into full bloom. For thousands of years, mankind saw the spring as a new birth. So by the birth of the new flowers coming up, it told people, such as the Native Americans, that it's time to start planting, and that they can go outdoors and not be hunkered down all winter time and hibernate like the bears. Now let's look at the American flag again. We symbolize our independent states with stars. Stars, of course, are found in the sky. This is very important because out of over the 200 countries that exist in the world today, almost half of those flags have some sort of astronomical symbol on that flag. Be it a star, be it a crescent moon, be it the sun, combination of all of those, multiple stars. Some are even more interesting. We have independent stars, but places like New Zealand and Australia have constellations. Brazil has a constellation. I think it was Pakistan has a crescent moon. And I believe it's either Burma or Thailand has the astronomical observatory of Angkor Wat, which all ties to the sky. Our ancestors were very, very in tune to the sky. The night sky told them when the winter was over. The night sky told them when the spring was coming. They were very in tune to the moon. And the stars in the sky and the flowers coming up, that told them that they would be able to start planting and living again. This week, today is the May 5th, which in Mexico is the Cinco de Mayo. It's a celebration of a battle over the French Empire. But there's something else going on this week up in the sky. We have several meteor showers that occur year-round. Two of them are very significant. The one that happens at this time of the year and one that happens around Halloween, because they're both tied to Halley's Comet. So if you go outside tonight and look into the south, so if the moon is up in the sky tonight, look the opposite direction from the moon, and you're looking towards the southeast, I believe it is, and you're going to see, hopefully, you're going to see some shooting stars or meteorites. And what they basically are is leftovers from the comet of Halley's Comet that looped around. We'll see them again come October. The other thing that's going to happen this week is the full moon. This is a really full moon. It's the last full moon of the year. And this moon has a very specific name. This full moon, this new moon, is called the flower moon. And that's taken from the Algonquin Indians who lived right around here in the Northeast. They named it the flower moon after the spring flowers that are coming up. So tonight, if you get a chance, go look at the moon. It's supposed to rain for the rest of the week, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to take out my astronomical binoculars, and if I get a chance, I'm going to try to get a photograph of some stuff in the sky, and I'll post those to the webpage and also to YouTube. Thank you very much, and you all have a good night.